Truck drivers spend more nights alone on American highways than almost anyone alive. They know the difference between a road that's just empty and a road that's watching you. On I-40, somewhere between Albuquerque and the Texas border, there is a mile marker that drivers have reported for years. Some call dispatch, some call state patrol, some just keep driving and never talk about it. But they all remember the same thing, the same woman, the same spot, mile marker 317. She's still there.
Story 1. Mile marker 317. I've driven nights on I-40 long enough to know the difference between weird and wrong. Weird is a tumbleweed the size of a couch bouncing across the lanes outside Gallup. Weird is a deer standing on the shoulder like it's waiting for a bus. Wrong is when your gut tightens for no reason, when the highway feels like it's watching you back. That run
started normal. Albuquerque outbound, east toward Texas, a refrigerated load humming behind me, coffee burning my throat. Dash lights painted my hands a tired green. It was late enough that the world had thinned out, long stretches of black desert, and the occasional headlights drifting past like ghosts with deadlines. Dispatch warned me about wind and fog near the mesas, but the sky was clear, star-heavy, the kind of night that makes you feel like you're driving through the bottom of space. I noticed her the first time just past a faded green sign that read, mile marker 317. She stood on the shoulder, close enough to the white line that my headlights caught her full on. A woman, mid-20s maybe, thin jacket, dark hair loose, one arm lifted like she was flagging down help. No car, no hazards, just her and the desert. For half a second I thought, stranded motorist, walked too far from a breakdown. Then my brain caught up. Nobody stands that close to the lane at 2 a.m. unless they're desperate or they want you to stop for the wrong reasons. I eased off the throttle anyway. Instinct. That's the thing about the road. Every decent driver has a soft spot for someone stranded. But company policy was drilled into me. No hitchhikers. No stopping alone at night unless it's a marked area. Call it in. Let state patrol handle it. I clicked hands-free and called dispatch. Got a female on the shoulder near mile marker 317. I said, trying to sound casual. No vehicle visible. Dispatch asked the usual questions. Did she look injured? Any other cars? Any threat? I glanced into the darkness behind her. Nothing moved, except my own trailer lights bouncing faintly in the mirror. I don't see a car, I said. She's waving. Keep rolling, dispatch replied. We'll notify state patrol. So I did. I told myself I did the right thing. But the moment I passed her, the feeling didn't lift. It got heavier, like I drove straight through a pocket of cold and it stayed inside my cab. I checked my passenger side mirror, expecting to see her shrinking behind me, still waving at my taillights. She wasn't there. No figure, no movement, just empty shoulder sliding back into darkness. I told myself it was the angle, headlights. Maybe she stepped back. Still, the way she vanished, clean, instant, made my fingers tighten around the wheel until my knuckles hurt. I drove another 30 miles without touching the radio, just engine hum and the faint rattle of straps, pretending I hadn't seen anything at all. The second night, I saw her again. Same run, same tired hour. Only this time it was after a stop in Tucumcari. Fuel, tires, bright buzzing lights. Then back onto I-40. The mile markers ticked up like slow numbers on a prison wall. When 317 came into view, a chill crawled up my arms before my headlights even reached the shoulder. There she was. Same hair, same jacket, same posture, one arm raised, palm out. The exact same distance from the lane, like someone dropped her there and pressed play. I said no out loud. Quiet. Sharp. I called dispatch again, different person this time. Same report. Female on shoulder. Mile marker 317. No vehicle. There was a pause. Half a beat too long. Say the mile marker again, dispatch asked. 317. Another pause. Paper rustled, like they were looking at something they didn't want to read. Driver, keep moving. Do not stop. We'll notify. I called this in last night. I said. Dispatch didn't answer right away. When he did, his voice dropped lower. Just keep moving. I passed her again, eyes locked forward, like I could outrun the feeling. In the mirror, she stayed visible a second, too. Then she was gone again. Same clean disappearance. That night, I didn't sleep right. Parked outside Amarillo, stared at the ceiling of my bunk. diesel engines outside roaring like distant surf. I tried to rationalize it. Different woman. My brain pattern matching strangers. A cruel prank, baiting truckers. But the part one couldn't swallow was the mile marker. 317. The way my body reacted before I even saw her, like it already knew what was waiting. The third night, I decided I'd call State Patrol directly when I got close. Not dispatch. Patrol. If she was real, they'd send someone. If she was bait for robbery, they'd handle it. If it was nothing, I'd get laughed at. Fine. I drove the approach with my jaw clenched. 312, 313, 314. I started dialing at 316. As soon as 317 appeared, the call dropped. My screen went black for a second, then came back showing no service, even though I'd had signal for the last 100 miles. And there she was again, standing exactly where she'd been the last 2 nights, lit by my headlights like she belonged there. This time she didn't wave. She just looked at me, not pleading, not angry, like she was waiting to see if I'd finally choose wrong. I slowed without meaning to. My foot hovered over the brake. My pulse thumped so loud it drowned out the engine. Then my CB radio crackled. I hadn't heard anyone on it all night. A voice came through, rough, tired, like an older driver who'd smoked too long. Don't stop. My hand shot to the radio. Who's this? Static. Then again, clearer. Don't stop at 317. A shiver ran through my scalp. You see her too? I asked. No answer. Just a long hiss of static. I passed her, forced the truck forward. But my eyes betrayed me. I snapped to the passenger mirror. She stayed visible longer this time, standing still, head tilted slightly, watching my trailer roll past. Then she lifted her hand, not waving, not asking, pointing at my truck, at me. And the moment my cab cleared her position, the mirror showed empty shoulder again, like she never existed. Relief should have hit. It didn't, because right after she vanished, my dashcam chimed. A lane incident alert. The screen flickered to split view, forward camera on top, cab camera on the bottom. Forward view looked normal. Empty highway, unspooling into darkness. The cab view wasn't. For one awful instant, there was a silhouette inside my truck. Passenger side, between the seat and the door. Too close to show details, but close enough to see hair around a head, shoulders, and eyes reflecting the infrared light like an animal caught in headlights. My throat locked. The silhouette leaned slightly, as if peering at the driver, as if confirming I'd noticed. Then the cab view blinked, one frame of static, and returned to an empty passenger seat. My hands shook so badly the steering wheel trembled. I looked with my own eyes. Nothing. Seatbelt hanging. Glove box closed. Normal. But the air felt wrong. Too still. Too close. Like someone had stepped into my space and left the shape of themselves behind. I didn't stop until I reached a busy truck plaza with bright lights and people moving. I parked under a lamp and sat there breathing like I'd run a marathon. Phone signal returned. Radio returned. Everything normal again, as if the universe only glitched for that 1 mile marker. Inside the travel center, I asked the cashier, an older woman with tired eyes, if she'd ever heard of anything happening near mile marker 317. She didn't smile. She didn't ask why. She just looked at me and said, "You a night driver?" "Yeah," I said. She nodded toward the coffee machine, like she didn't want to say the next part too loud. Trooper comes through sometimes. Says there was a wreck out there years back. Bad one. Young woman. Walked away from it. Or tried to. I felt my skin prickle. People claim they see someone waving down cars, she continued. Always the same spot. My mouth went dry. Mile marker 317, I said. Her eyes didn't leave mine. That's what they call it. I left without finishing my coffee. Back in my cab, I pulled up the dashcam footage. Forward camera showed exactly what I remembered. Approached the marker. Headlights washed the shoulder. A woman standing there, still as a signpost. Then, as I passed her, the video glitched. 1 second of black. When it came back, the shoulder was empty. I rewound. Send clean gap. Impossible. I clicked to the cab camera footage. It played normally, me driving, eyes forward, until the timestamp where the alert chimed. The video stuttered. Not black, not static, just a missing beat. And when it resumed, the passenger seat was empty. No silhouette, no eyes, nothing. Like the footage erased itself. Like the truck didn't want proof to exist. That night, I didn't sleep. I drove before dawn. chased daylight east until the sky turned pale, until traffic returned and the world felt solid again. After that, I avoided that stretch, took a different route, made excuses, paid tolls out of my own pocket just to stay off that highway. Months passed. I started telling myself maybe fear inflated it. Maybe the mind does strange things when you're tired and alone. Then one afternoon, waiting in a dock line in Arkansas, my phone buzzed with a dispatch message. A policy update. I barely cared, until a line near the bottom snagged my attention. Reminder, do not stop for stranded individuals on shoulders. If you observe any person near mile marker 317 on I-40, report and continue without stopping. They didn't write that for no reason. I read it twice. My mouth went dry. That night, lying in my bunk, I heard the faintest sound, so soft I could have blamed the wind or my own heartbeat. A gentle tap on the passenger door, not outside the truck, inside the cab, like a fingernail against plastic. I held my breath and stared at the passenger seat. Nothing moved. Then, very softly, a woman's voice, close enough to fog the glass if she breathed, said a single sentence that felt like a promise. You saw me. Story 2. The rest stop receipt most truck drivers will tell you. The real danger on I-40 isn't weather and it isn't traffic. It's fatigue. The kind that creeps into your head slowly, until reality starts feeling delayed, like the world is buffering around you. After 10 years hauling freight coast to coast, I knew how to manage that feeling. Coffee, open windows, loud radio, short stops. You learn survival habits. But there are stretches of I-40 where those habits stop working. The night this happened, I was running westbound through Oklahoma, hauling dry goods toward Flagstaff. Late summer, humid enough that heat still lifted off the asphalt long after midnight. Traffic had disappeared, just occasional headlights passing every 15 minutes, an endless black highway rolling forward forever. Around 2:30 a.m., I felt pressure building behind my eyes. That warning sign drivers recognize immediately. Time for a break. My logbook said I could keep going, but experienced drivers don't argue with exhaustion. That's how people die. I checked GPS. A rest stop appeared ahead near the state line. Small place. Bathrooms. Vending machines. Truck parking. Nothing special. As I pulled into the lot, something immediately felt wrong. There were trucks parked. 6, maybe 7. Engines idling low. But nobody outside. Normally someone's walking a dog, stretching, smoking, doing anything but sitting still. This place felt frozen. Like everyone decided to stay inside at the exact same moment. I parked under a flickering light pole and shut down the engine. Silence rushed in so fast my ears rang. I sat there a minute, letting my hands loosen from the steering wheel. That's when I noticed her. Across the parking lot, near the entrance walkway, a woman standing still, facing the trucks, long dark hair hanging forward, thin jacket, even though the night was warm. She wasn't waving, just watching. I figured maybe she needed help. Still, choosing a rest stop instead of the highway shoulder felt strange. Drivers are cautious in parking lots. Too many scams over the years. I grabbed my wallet and climbed down from the cab. Gravel crunched under my boots. The moment my door slammed shut, she turned her head toward me. I felt it instantly. That awareness when someone locks eyes with you from too far away. Even under yellow lights, her face looked pale, almost washed out. She took one slow step toward me. I stopped walking. Every safety instinct switched on. Training, stories, warnings shared over CB radios at 3 in the morning. Never engage alone. Never let strangers approach your truck. So I nodded politely and kept walking toward the building. Behind me, footsteps. Slow, matching mine. I glanced back. She had crossed half the parking lot already. "Sir," she said quietly. Her voice wasn't threatening, just flat, like someone who had cried for hours. I forced a polite smile. "You should talk to security inside." No response. When I reached the entrance doors and pulled them open, I looked back one last time. The parking lot was empty. No woman, no movement, just trucks sitting beneath humming lights. I stood there longer than I should have, scanning everywhere. There was nowhere she could have gone that fast. Eventually, I convinced myself she walked behind another trailer. Inside, the rest stop felt older than it should have been. Fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. A vending machine rattling occasionally like it was breathing. Behind the counter sat a tired cashier scrolling through his phone. I grabbed coffee, set it down, He printed a receipt automatically and slid it toward me. I picked it up without thinking, then froze. Printed beneath the total price were words that didn't belong there. She already asked you for help. I stared at the receipt, waiting for my brain to correct itself. Maybe an ad, maybe broken ink, but the sentence sat perfectly aligned. Normal receipt text. My chest tightened. You guys print messages now? I asked. The cashier frowned. What message? I turned the receipt toward him. His expression didn't change. That's just your total. I looked back down. The message was still there. Clear. Perfect. You don't see that? I asked. He leaned closer. Buddy, you okay? I blinked. The words were gone. Only the price remained. Embarrassment hit immediately. Lack of sleep does strange things. I laughed it off, grabbed my coffee, and headed toward the restroom hallway. Halfway there, I noticed the security monitor near the ceiling. For camera feeds rotated slowly. Parking lot angles, entrance doors, truck lanes, and standing directly beneath one outside camera was the woman, exactly where I'd entered earlier. I stepped closer to the screen. Something felt wrong immediately, because on the live camera feed, she wasn't there. The parking lot looked empty, but through the glass doors behind me, I could clearly see her standing outside. My stomach dropped. I turned slowly. She stood 20 feet away, separated only by glass, watching me, not blinking. Her head tilted slightly, like she didn't understand why I hadn't helped her. Cold spread across my neck. I backed toward the counter. There's a woman outside, I told the cashier. He glanced casually toward the doors. Don't see anyone. I turned again. The lot was empty, completely empty. My heartbeat slammed in my ears. I finished my coffee fast, suddenly desperate to leave. Outside, the air felt heavier. I walked quickly toward my truck, keys already in hand. Halfway there, I noticed my trailer doors. One reflective strip shimmered, like someone had touched it. I climbed back into the cab, locked both doors immediately, started the engine. The vibration helped. Trucks are solid, predictable, real. I pulled back onto the highway without looking behind me. 10 minutes later, my CB radio crackled. An older driver's voice came through. You stop back there? Yeah, I answered. Why? Static hissed. Then you see her? My grip tightened on the wheel. What do you mean? The driver sighed. Lady asking rides. Drivers report her for years. A chill crawled through me. You messing with me? No, he said quietly. Drivers who pick her up, things happen. The signal faded. I told myself it was highway folklore. Every road has ghost stories. Then my trailer sensor alarm beeped. Once, twice. Movement detected inside cargo. Impossible. The load was sealed. I checked my mirrors. Nothing but darkness. Then, from behind a cab wall, a sound. A slow scrape, like someone shifting weight. My breathing stopped. Another sound followed. Soft, almost polite. A knock. From inside the trailer. My hands shook as I grabbed the radio. Anybody copy? Only static answered. Then, through the metal wall behind me, a woman's voice whispered. Close enough that I felt it through the seat. You drove away again. Story 3. Hundreds of miles. Same woman after enough years driving long haul. The highway stops feeling like roads. It starts feeling like memory. You recognize gas stations by broken signs, curves by instinct, exits without even reading them. Interstate 40 becomes predictable, and predictability is what keeps drivers sane during overnight runs. That's why what happened to me scared me more than anything else I've ever experienced on the road. Because one night, I-40 stopped behaving like a real highway. It started during a storm run through western Arizona. Dispatch pushed the delivery late, which meant I had no choice but to cross the desert after midnight. Thunderstorms rolled across distant mesas, lightning flashing silently behind mountains like giant cameras photographing the earth. Rain barely touched the pavement, but the sky felt heavy, pressing down on everything. Around 1:50 a.m., traffic disappeared completely. No headlights ahead, no taillights behind, just my truck cutting through darkness at 70 miles per hour. That's when I saw her, standing beyond the shoulder line near a damaged guardrail, suddenly illuminated by my headlights. The posture every driver recognizes instantly. A stranded traveler, arms slightly raised, body turned toward passing vehicles. Except she wasn't waving. She looked exhausted, almost collapsed. Dirty clothes, tangled hair, barefoot on desert gravel. My instincts fought each other. Every safety rule screamed, don't stop. But another thought pushed harder. If someone dies out here, and you drove past them, you carry that forever. So I slowed. The hum of my tires dropped as I pulled onto the shoulder about 50 yards ahead. The moment the truck stopped, the desert went quiet. Unnaturally quiet. Even the wind disappeared. In my side mirror, I watched her walking toward the truck. Slow steps. Too steady. Not limping. Not rushing. Just approaching, like she already knew I would wait. Something tightened in my chest. Most stranded people hurry. Relief takes over. They wave, call out, run even. She didn't. She reached the passenger door and stood there, waiting. I leaned across the cab and cracked the window slightly. "You okay?" I asked. Several seconds passed. Then she spoke, without looking directly at me. "Next exit." Her voice sounded dry. Hollow, like someone who hadn't spoken in days. "You need a ride?" I asked. She nodded once. Against every rule I'd learned. I unlocked the door. She climbed inside slowly, and immediately the cab temperature dropped. Not dramatic, just enough for goosebumps to rise along my arms. She sat facing forward, hands resting quietly in her lap. No thank you, no explanation, just silence. I pulled back onto the highway. Rain tapped lightly against the windshield while lightning flashed across distant hills. Minutes passed. I expected a story, a breakdown, an accident, something normal. Instead, she whispered again. "Next exit." I checked GPS 30 miles away. "That far?" I asked. No reply. I glanced sideways. Her reflection in the windshield looked wrong. Delayed somehow, like it moved half a second slower than she did. My stomach tightened. "You come from a car back there?" I asked. Silence. Then slowly, she turned her head toward me. The movement was too smooth, too controlled. Her eyes looked tired, not frightened, almost familiar. "You already stopped before." The words hit harder than they should have. "What? You picked me up," she said softly. "Long time ago." I shook my head immediately. "No, first time tonight." She didn't argue, just faced forward again. Lightning flashed. Highway signs rushed past. I checked GPS again. The exit distance hadn't changed. Still 30 miles. I frowned, tapped the screen. 5 minutes passed, then 10, and the same exit sign appeared again. Same number, same name. My pulse quickened. I knew I had already passed it. I checked the mile marker. Cold spread through my chest. Impossible. I had crossed this stretch hours earlier. I pressed the accelerator slightly, trying to outrun the panic building inside me. She spoke again. "You missed it." "I didn't," I said quickly. "We already passed." She interrupted gently. "You always miss it." Lightning exploded across the sky. For one brief second, her face became fully visible, and my breath stopped. Her skin looked pale gray, cracked near her temple like dried mud or an old injury. Part of her hair looked wet, as if soaked long ago. Then darkness returned. I gripped the steering wheel tighter. "This isn't funny," I muttered. No answer. Suddenly, the GPS screen went blank. No map, no signal, just a frozen arrow spinning slowly. Outside, the same exit sign appeared again, and again, and again. My breathing turned shallow. I checked my mirrors, and that's when real terror hit. Behind my trailer, lit by lightning flashes, stood a woman in the roadway, exactly where I had picked her up, but she was also sitting beside me. My hands began shaking violently. I looked toward the passenger seat. She hadn't moved, still calm, still watching forward. "How?" I whispered. She turned toward me again. "You weren't supposed to stop." Wind slammed against the trailer. Thunder cracked overhead. Then something moved behind us. The figure in the mirror started running, keeping pace with the truck. At 70 miles per hour, my heart slammed painfully in my chest. "You need to get out," I said, voice breaking. She nodded slowly. "Yes." Suddenly, an exit ramp appeared ahead. No sign, no lights, just darkness sloping away from the highway. My hands turned the wheel almost automatically. As the truck slowed, she opened the door herself. Cold air flooded the cab. Before stepping down, she leaned closer, close enough that I smelled rain and desert dust. "You stopped last time too," she whispered. Then she stepped out. The door closed. I slammed the brakes and looked back. Empty road. No woman. No footprints. Nothing. Just desert under flashing lightning. My GPS rebooted instantly. Normal map returned. Different mile marker. Hundreds of miles east from where I thought I was seconds earlier. I sat there shaking for nearly 10 minutes. Later that morning, parked at a fuel station, I checked my paper logbook. An older page slipped loose. A run from 2 years earlier. Same route, same month, and written in my own handwriting, a note near midnight. Picked up woman on I-40. Something wrong. Never stop again. I don't remember writing it. I don't remember that trip. But sometimes now, when storms roll across the desert at night, my passenger seatbelt clicks softly all by itself. And in the reflection of the window, just for a moment, it looks like someone is already sitting there, waiting for the next exit.